Welcome back to our special series. Today's date, June 28, 2024, this is Levi Alexandre, President of Renaissance Media Group, that is in charge of Renaissance Voice and Noikademy. We are continuing with the series where we are providing important updates and a big announcement, which is the key point of the day. So I hope you continue to enjoy those introductions or preparations for the big news. So now this video is going to talk to you about considerations that I have made in order for me to come to certain resolutions that I had to make. So I consider the pros and I consider the cons like any logical person would do. And then from there, I have drawn my own conclusion and then I've made some decision. So these are the cons, and I'll go over them quickly. Because of the Eminifx case, because I made this brother, I became a target. Not only one part, the feds, the sellouts, as I call them, or zealots, or traders, whatever. And then you have disgruntled investors. I understand them. Really, in my heart, I really feel sorry for people who go through so much anxiety and other emotional burden through the experience. Everybody involved. So, but that didn't change the fact that I became a target. So I had to kind of be very mindful of those things. The second thing I had to consider as cons, like why I shouldn't do anything really, is the family differences. I have some disagreements with my family internally over the case and the way it would go or not. And these are things that made it not easier for me to make certain decisions because family really is important to me, obviously, and I have to take that into consideration. And then there is also past mistakes that I have made in my life. Everybody has made mistakes where some of them surfaced, and I had to kind of make up my mind on what to do and not to do. But at the end of the day, I'd made peace with my God, and to me, that's the most important. I've made peace with God. So, in order for cons, the last point I would talk about is lack of resources. Really, long story short, I had to work with very limited resources on a project of a large magnitude, and I was not really ready for all the things that I encountered along the way. So I had to kind of clear my mind on what I want and can do. So these were the cons as not to do anything, but there are some pros. The pros are, before I go to the pros, I know that a lot of people would like to um, spend more time on my past mistakes as if they haven't made any mistake themselves. You know, I'd like to ask the person who has never seen to cast the first rock, and then see if you are so righteous, never fallen, you never made any mistake, We don't want to cast the first stone, and that would be fair. But for those who read the Bible, here is a series of a verse or a few verses that I have found that could be of help of use. The way I'm looking at it from my perspective and my journey. And those who do not understand or believe in the Bible, but at least you can understand the message, and hopefully it makes sense to you. And lest I should be exalted above measure by the abundance of the revelations, and a thorn in the flesh was given to me, a messenger of Satan, to buffet me, lest I be exalted above measure. So that's Apostle Paul' way of looking at life, struggle, especially with imperfections and madness, to realize that he could be buffeted in all sides and it could turn out to be a blessing because these are things that would prevent him from being boastful, but being relying too much on ego and pride. You know? So it's actually a good thing to go through challenges. Concerning this thing, I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it might depart from me. Sometimes you want God to, if you believe in God, but if you don't, let's just look at it as the truth inside of that or the logic inside of that. Sometimes you want these problems to go away, or God, I don't want, or you don't want to deal with any challenge or problem. But what doesn't break you, it makes you stronger. So, and Apostle continued, and he said to me, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weaknesses. In weakness, therefore, most gladly I will rather boast in my infirmities, than that the power of Christ may rest upon me." I will just take that any day, man. My grace is sufficient for you. I don't need man's grace for me to grow in my life, but I need to know I find grace in the higher power that sees in me potential instead of failures and want to use me for greater good. I'll go with that any day. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in needs, in persecutions, in distresses for Christ's sake. For when I'm weak, that then I'm strong. So those who think that they would persecute me or reproach me or what have you, or make mention of my infirmities or imperfections, let me make this clearer for you, and listen to this very carefully, and I'll go slowly. When I am weak, then I'm strong. So you might want to move on with your life and focus on other things that might be more useful to you. Because this brother right here, I am stronger when I'm weak. And and I would like to also uh, take a moment to share two stories that may really make more sense if the Bible didn't register. Because I, again, not everybody read the Bible or even use the Bible, so I understand that. Let's use a more neutral example. I have two. I've come up with a thought based on people I have encountered that have placed themselves as they are beyond, they make you feel like they are beyond you because you've made a mistake and they know about it. I've come up with that sentence, okay? This is something I'm working on. It's always a grandstanding posture to sit on high moral grounds, looking down at others as beneath due to their shortcomings, until someday it is now your turn to rely on others' leniency to help explain away your own flaws. That's my thought on this issue. When I'm looking at people who like to sit on that high moral grounds, like they looking down on you as if they are above reproach, while they spend no time in pointing out where your flaws are, as if you are the only people in the world that would have flaws and they do not know even what that word means. Because they happen to know about it, they treat you as if you are not worth of even the look other than content. I like to smile sometimes when they do that. But in my family, I find those moments less offensive because family is closer. I have one member in my family with whom I had a very interesting experience recently. Um, a few about a week ago, I was supposed to meet that family member, and when I meet that person, um, uh, I came 30 minutes after the time we were supposed to meet. Okay, we were supposed to meet at 2. I got there at 2:30. But the background of the story is that in the morning I wrote to that person to let that person know that I would not be able to come, and that person didn't read that message until it was 2. So I've sent a message about 8 hours. So technically I wasn't late because I sent the message to cancel, to let that person know I couldn't come. But instead of highlighting that, that person went on for like 15 minutes to lecture me about commitment. If I said I was gonna be there, I cannot just cancel, and then I don't come on time, I'm late. That stress, that is a lot of anxiety and stress. Oh man, I heard it. I'm telling you, I heard it for 15 minutes and I smiled. I sat there, look at the person straight in the face, and I sat there and took it all in with a smile. Then we had dinner, and then I was so grateful we had dinner because at the end of the day, um, I like to focus on the positive as much as I can. So the dinner was cool. So I enjoyed it. Great. Awesome. Fine. And then yesterday, that same person, just a week later, that same person needed to meet me now for something else. And we were supposed to meet at 8 o'clock last night. Guess what happened? That person could not find an Uber to come in, and that person ended up showing up at 8:30. I smiled, and that person, of a family member, that person went on for like 15 minutes to ask me for leniency to help explain away her own flaws. The high moral grounds changed, except this time I wasn't going to um, do it the way that the person has done it because I know better. So I smiled. I said, "It's okay. It happened. It's life." And I didn't even boast or remind her that I was late myself and that I had to hear it for so long. I just smiled. I said, "Don't worry about it. It's okay." You know. But I thought about that high moral grounds, and I think that this person could learn a bit more about life because it took only a week to teach that person a very valuable lesson. How easy it is to sit down on moral grounds to look down on people until it's your turn. When people are looking down on you, how hard it is. I saw how much pain she had to go through when she realized that in less than a week, also, same thing happened to her after admonishing me for 15 minutes. So that's life. It's just the way that it works. There's another example that I'll share with you also that's more appropriate with to the story in terms of being closer to the story in terms of resemblance. It's the story of someone who used to go to my brother's order, who still goes to my brother's church, and that person would not pray with my brother when he was going through his challenge because that person thought that my brother was so unholy that even prayer was not, he was not even worthy of praying with. So that person wouldn't pray with my brother because my brother was too impure for prayer. As if prayer wasn't designed for sinners. If that person saw my brother as a sinner. And the way I heard that story is that a year after my brother went to prison, true story by the way, I've learned that person now needs prayer from everybody because he was one of the major sponsor of Novatech, and Novatech FX is now being sued by the Attorney General of New York, and that person being a major sponsor of Novatech, that person is very scared that now they're gonna go after his family or her family, whatever the person is. I don't want to mention or divulgate that person's gender, so to not to make it too obvious, but it was a nice karma to see how quick the ground changed, meaning that person would look down on my brother as some unholy brother who's involved with fraud, and that person a year later would now be dealing with a fraud case of his or her own, and now they need a lot of prayer because this case is progressively moving forward. From what I am understanding, I wouldn't be surprised if some criminal charges are starting to fly. I hope not, but hey, it's a very serious case, the Novatek case. So here's a case, two case of humility maybe for people who would like to sit on a high ground thinking that they know Brother Levi so well that now they can judge me. Um, life is very mysterious. So I wanted to share that. Now, that's for the cons. The pros, here they are, right? In spite of all the cons, I see here a clear opportunity to make a difference in the world. I see how the project I'm about to share with you can change the world, and I am excited by that. It's an awesome feeling. And the second pro is that I have enjoyed undeniable support of strangers who never known me before, but yet still came forward and helped me through the whole journey. I'm talking about angels that God sent my way to support, to carry me over their shoulder, literally. As you can recall, I had a lot of challenges with the 2 years having to take time away from everything. So I had to support myself, and these people showed up and they helped me continuously through the whole time. I'm talking about family members, friends, and supporters. Um, then some of them were strangers. I'm talking about two of them I can think of right now, and they know who they are. You guys are my angels, and I keep telling you that, and you know it. So I thank God for you, literally. So how could I not be grateful and excited that I am putting myself now at the service of a community that can produce such beautiful souls? I can't. It's a great opportunity to pay back or pay the blessing forward. That's what my project is about. And the third is the duty to defend my family and pursue the truth. Um, my family has been buffeted on all sides. That includes myself, but I don't think about myself only as the only situation. It's a lot of other parameters. But I see here a historical moment where I can make a difference, and I'm about to seize it so I can defend the honor of my family and pursue the truth wherever it is. So when you're looking at those pros, I'm excited to be of service and I'm moving forward. So thinking of moving forward, that will be my next video where I will talk about the resolution I have made in my pursuit of social justice and then being of service to my community.